Hey, YouTube, Facebook, Twitter. I'm live today with my brother. You guys get to meet him right after this little intro. And we're back. So I wrote that song in prison, guys, so I'm kind of proud of it. And I got to play that song in front of 100 people at prison for my RDAP graduation. And I also did it 4th of July. We did an outdoor concert in prison. So that song means a lot to me. Anyways, this is my brother, guys. His name's Patrick. Same last name as me, Cowgill. And I got him back in my life. And we both had our share of abusive home and broken homes and drug addiction and jails and all that. And he's lucky enough he never had to go to prison. He could have. So I'll let him tell his story. But he finally, he's in recovery now, and he's in a really good place in Tennessee. And last year he was in jail. Now he's not. And he's on the right path, guys. And I don't think he'll ever have to do a day in jail again. He keeps doing what he's been doing today. Anyways, I'm going to give you my brother. Patrick, you want to say hi and maybe tell these guys a little bit about what's going on?
Up? Yep. What's up? My name's Patrick. I'm Sean's brother. And it's all true. Yep. Everything he says is true. Right now I'm sitting in, I'm in my basement. We went to church earlier today from like 11 o'clock to about 12:30. It's called Tennessee Valley Christian Community Church. I'm here in Paris, Tennessee. And the program I'm in is Phases to Freedom. So it's called Phases to Freedom. It's I'm in a transitional men's house, and then they have about 3 other houses that are for about 30 women combined. And one of the houses has women, and they also have their kids in there too, from anywhere from an infant to 5-year-old or whatever they got. And the lady that runs the place, her name's Lori. She's a director, and they're both I guess they would be actually Messianic Jewish, so the Messianic Jewish, so Christian but Messianic Jewish, so they believe in Jesus, and they're both rabbis, and they run the program, and it's a Christian program, and I'm Christian. I'm not Messianic Jew, but they're nice people. And let's see. So this is Phase to Freedom. I'm in Paris, Tennessee, it's northwest Tennessee. So it's the northwest corner of Tennessee. It's kind of by Martin. Tennessee Martin University. It's up in that area up in there.
How close to you are Missouri? Because Harvey Talks Prisons in the room.
Harvey Talks Prisons in the room? Yeah, we got Cape Girardeau. That would take about 2 hours to get to from here, I think, which is a nice place. And then we have a place called Cowgill, Missouri,
yeah.
which is Harvey Sean's last name.
Harvey's girlfriend, Harvey's wife looked that up for me. And she, it's a real place. So, yeah, we got a few people in the room, Harvey and T. Nova and Matthew, and I'll get to you guys. Oh, here, let me just take a minute and say hi to these guys.
Yep.
Hey, Harvey, good. Hey, thanks for coming on the show. Harvey's been on my show before, and I don't know if I'm ever going on your show, Harvey, but you can come on again anytime.
Harvey Talks Prison. Yep.
Watch his channel, guys. It's a good channel. Harvey broke 2,000 subscribers, man. He's going places. And if you want to know all about, he did 29 years in a state prison, guys. And he'll tell you all about it. You just got to go to his channel, Harvey Talks Prison. And
29 days in a wake up. 29 years in a wake up.
29 years in a wake up.
What a wake up.
Hey, how we doing? How we doing? Bro. We got Matthew. Hey, Sean. Hey, Pat. Good to meet you, he says.
Right on.
Harvey says the Cape. I don't know. You guys must know what that means. I don't know. The Cape. So, Cape Pat, I know we can talk forever. We got 50 years of history together, but you are not in prison today because you chose the path of recovery. But what were your charges last year, and what were you what were you looking at, man? Do you remember? Because you could have made it to prison, right? From what
I do remember, and I've been in this program here for 4.5 months. I'm almost through February. It'll be 5 months and it's a 12-month program. But what I got charged with was aggravated assault. So
on a police officer?
Well, I never heard that said by anyone in court or anywhere else, but
okay.
I got my paperwork about 3 days ago. I went over to the courthouse and I got my paperwork because I wanted to see if it says upon completion of the program or stay a full year, because upon completion, I graduate in 2 months. So I'd move out and get my own place. I'd be done, but I got to stay a full year. It's one or the other. There's a couple guys that have that. But on the paperwork for the first time, I read the page from the prosecutor, and it writes Patrick Cowgill did knowingly and intentionally cause aggravated assault to such and such officer, and then on this date and whatever. So did knowingly and intentionally. So right there, it's assault on a police officer, aggravated assault on a police officer.
Yeah, it's a tough one to beat. They like to throw you in prison for that, but I don't know. God blessed you, man, and now you're, you don't have to face that anymore. I mean, stay where you're at, keep doing what you're doing. I guess Sonia's in the room too. Hey, Sonia. She said, "What's up, Sean? What's up, Sonia?" Sonia Rivera. You know who I think this is, Pat?
You got pictures? No.
Sparky. Remember Sparky from the Terrace? Mayfair Village.
Mayfair Village.
Over there by Orange Park.
Yeah, that's where I grew up in 6th, 7th, 8th grade. Yeah.
Yeah, that's Sonia. Yeah, I remember her. You should know my brother, Sonia. Yeah.
Yeah. That was our clique. That was our neighborhood.
I think that's her. It kind of looks like her picture.
Yep. I played softball at Orange Park.
From South City
High School. Yep.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, she's saying, yeah. She goes, yeah, it's me. How you been? Yeah, it's me. Yeah, well, I've been in prison. I've been out a couple of years, Sonia. I got this channel, Federal Prison Talk now. And, turning my life around. And I'm helping people get through the whole process of federal prison. They go to a lot of people. I was on 4 years of pretrial. That's when you're out on a bond and you don't know if you're getting probation or 20 years. And, year after year, they keep putting off your sentencing. And you finally, then I got 4 years and 4 months sentence. I did my time. I got out. It's been a couple of years now. And now I'm helping all the other people after me get through all this, how to get in programs and take time off your sentence. And today I got a call from a guy. I'm helping him write a letter to the judge. I help people with their character reference letters. And I don't do this for money. I just do it to pay it forward out just because, it gives me purpose in life. And I got my brother, if you don't remember him, from Southwood. He went to Southwood like you did.
Yep.
Southwood Junior High. They're called middle schools now, I heard, but
we were the last class at Southwood because they dropped from 9th grade to 7th and 8th grade. So I was the last class to go to South City when they started 9th grade in high school.
Oh.
At Southwood, yeah.
Sonia says, did you hear Stevie died? That's Otten, Stevie Otten. Remember Mackie Otten and Stevie Otten?
Was that? It wasn't. There was Greg's friend.
That was Dean's friend, Stevie.
White Owl. So
that Eric Freeman.
Yeah.
I didn't know Stevie died. I wonder how he died.
Which means he made it to be about 57 years old. He was about your age.
He was a year or two younger than me. Yeah. Sonia,
rest
good
in
for
peace,
you.
Stevie. God bless.
Do you only help federal? Well, Sonia, my experience is federal, but I work, if you look in the corner, that Wings for Life. So I'm in Albuquerque, New Mexico, and I work for a nonprofit charity called Wings for Life. And we mainly help people in state prisons. It's Wings for Life International. We help the families of inmates in prison and when inmates come out. And we got all kinds of things to give away and services and counseling and programs and workshops. So underneath all of my videos, there's a whole thing about Wings for Life with the phone number and the website and stuff. And you can call us up from anywhere. You got family in prison or you're going to prison or you just got out or whatever. We can help you with jobs and cars and places to live and all that stuff. It's called Wings for Life. You just give them a call. I might be the one answering, but we have like 20 people in and out of the office there. It's a really good. They've been around 27 years. They hired me because of my channel, and I moved out here to Albuquerque. But yeah, we can help people with state. They mainly deal with state prisons. I'm the federal guy, but we have lots of state guys, Sonia. Harvey says, got to go, but thanks for all you do, Sean. Pat, congratulations on staying clean.
Thank you.
She says she didn't go to Southwood. Okay. Parkway, huh? Yeah, Parkway girl.
Parkway. Yep. Up on the hill.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, he was sick, but he never went to the doctor. Yeah, that can happen. Yeah.
Yeah, we weren't too concerned with doctors when we were in South City. We didn't trip off doctors very much.
Yeah, it's a very good friend who was in SVSP. I don't know what SVSP is. Do you, Pat?
Something state penitentiary.
Oh, yeah.
State penitentiary.
The P stands for penitentiary.
South Vegas.
And then she said he's getting out toward the end of the year and he wants to go to a transition house. Patrick, take it away. You got him. Sonia, I can get him in all kinds of ones in the Bay Area or here in Albuquerque. But my brother.
Sean's the right guy for that.
Patrick, you can get him in where you're at, right?
I'm in Tennessee. No,
yeah,
they don't take from prison here.
I thought they but they can get you out of jail.
They take from jail.
You can go there, right? Yeah.
They take from jail.
Okay.
They only go as high as jail here.
Oh, Salinas Valley State Prison.
Oh.
Yeah, Sonia, call me at work or Wings for Life or my number's under the video. I can hook them up with sober living houses in the Bay Area. I know a whole bunch of them.
Salinas Valley State Prison. I think I drove by that. It's down by Highway 1 when you get down by Salinas.
Salinas. Anything for Salinas. Remember that movie?
Yeah.
Selena. Anything for Salinas.
That's
a movie reference. I know some of you out there get that one, right?
Yeah. Okay, no?
Yeah. So anyway, back to you, Pat. So what's life? What's life now that you got you're off the meth, right?
Yeah.
How's that feel, man?
I miss it. I had to be honest. No. No, I'm not using meth anymore. Yeah, it's been about 5 months since I've been off meth. So contrast to my life before the 2 years that I did meth was I had a really good set. I had a nice 2-bedroom trailer on 1 acre of land, and I had everything furnished in there and everything, and it was really, really nice. When I drove away from that trailer, the day I drove out of that trailer, I didn't look back, and the trailer was pretty much destroyed inside. Like all the furniture was ruined and the walls and all that stuff. So got pretty crazy in there inside there doing the meth. So it feels good to be. It's a good thing I stopped because my brain could have kicked out at any time. So it was pretty. Because that's pretty much all you do is do that meth. It's going pretty fast. Doing a lot of I was doing a lot of reading and going out in the middle of the night and going into the woods and stuff like that. And I was reading the Bible and I was like watching Fox News all the time and reading encyclopedias and textbooks and engineering books and physics books and all that kind of stuff. And then, doing stuff like that. And then going over to my friend's house and tweaking in their yard. They had a big old trailer with a big old deck, and that was down in Clarksville. So that was 2 years doing that stuff. So 5 months isn't that far away from it, really. It's only been 5 months. So it takes probably close to a little more than 6 months to get the head clear. So, but I'm healthier now. And the further I get away,
remember you called me up at 3 a.m. saying there's creatures in the wall and they're watching you. You asked me to call the FBI on you one time.
Yeah.
It was 3 or 4 in the morning. Remember all that stuff, man? That's all gone now, right? Your head's clear now, right?
Yeah, I don't think about that stuff anymore. No, at that time it was call the FBI, they're my buddy. Call like the CIA, they're my buddies. Call the Department of Defense, they're my buddies. They got me on satellite and I have all this information. And they're protecting me because I have all this last days scenario information and stuff. And I'm up on Fox News and the presidency and the Democrats, Republicans, stuff like that. So I thought I was all, knowing everything. And I do actually know a lot. But I called you that night at 3 a.m. I was in a hotel, and that was the hotel I got arrested in. So it was probably about a month before that. Yeah, I was out of it. The problem I was having was the phone, the cell phone. You're tweaking on your cell phone constantly. And I kept thinking someone kept stealing my password. So I kept changing my passwords on my email all the time. And I have like notebooks filled with passwords just over and over and over. New password. And then the phone would go into like shutdown mode. So I'd have to buy new phones. And I bought as you know, Sean, I had like 20 numbers. I bought like 20 phones. But then again, in hotels, you also have people hacking phones. So they're trying to hack in. They get on Bluetooth. Bluetooth is a big thing that they hack into when you're in a hotel. So I was having problems with that stuff. But yeah, I remember that.
Life was so much easier when I was hooked on crack and they only had pay phones, back in the 80s or 90s.
Oh yeah. There was one night, it was about a week before I got arrested. I was up for 15 days, by the way. The day I got arrested, I had been up for 15 days. And about a week before that, or 4 days before that, the lady next door to me moved out in a hotel room. I was on the top floor on a corner. There was like 6 buildings, 3 on the bottom, 3 on the top. And she moved out. So there was a new couple came in real quick, probably just for the night. And my phone started messing up. So I thought it was finally one of those tweakers outside that was hacking the phones. So I went outside of my room to the door next door, and I used my shoulder, and I was hitting the door with my shoulder going, open up, MF, come out. You're done stealing from me. I was like, that's a major thing to do right there. That wasn't very wise. And then the owners told me the next day or something like, what are you doing? You can't be doing that. It's a good thing the door didn't open. You know what I mean?
That's a good thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
Let me get some of these more comments here. We got somebody from Australia. Kathy D, greetings from Australia. How is it down under there? Australia, wow. And Sonia's
hold on, I hear sirens outside. Hold on, let me see if they're passing. They actually stopped. No, go ahead.
Sonia, he's from San Jose. Yeah, Sonia, I was in a sober living house down in Mountain View, and we got one in Santa Clara.
A lot of sober houses in San Jose.
Yeah, I got hookups, Sonia, so call me. Yeah,
hey, tell her to go to. Tell her she wants to find your number.
She said she got my number.
Tell her to go to TLC, or hook her up with James's place.
James bought all the TLCs. TLC's no longer in existence. Wow, James bought like 3 of them, and then other places bought the rest. Yeah.
Well, give her James's number.
Oh yeah, definitely. He's on there.
Shit, it takes over a year to get clear. I know, huh? Takes over a year to get clear. I know.
Yeah.
And you got to stick with it a whole year and not pick up again. Is that Sonia right there? She's way cool.
Yeah.
See, we can rap. We're South City.
Talk to you soon, John. All right.
Good to see you're good.
All right. Yeah. Wait. She gave me her number. I'll write it down. But so, anyways, I got my pen out here, Pat. So I don't know what else you want to talk about, Pat. You remember when before I went to prison? Because I didn't see my brother. I don't know, 8 years, 10 years. I mean, he took off. I kind of back then I was in a real dark place. Do you remember the last conversation I had with you, Pat? And I told you to fuck off and.
Exactly.
Yeah. What do you remember what I said to you?
You said, "Fuck you." Actually, you kind of said it like maybe I should. Yeah, you kind of said like "fuck you." That's
so what happened was I just got indicted.
Yeah, it was a big deal.
And I just went to court, and I went to court and got indicted, and I was supposed to go in next week for some preliminary thing. I didn't show up. I got evicted from that week. I got evicted from the house. Everything I owned was gone or lost. I had some stuff in storage. My car broke down. It wouldn't start because when it rains, it pours. Everything happened. I was in a park in Antioch. I think I had $18 left in my name. I had a little backpack with some change of clothes, a picture of my dead mother, and a cell phone with maybe 30% charge on it. And that's all I had in my name. And my brother calls me up, and he doesn't know what's going on. And I told him I was going to go jump off the freeway overpass and land in the traffic and let the cars kill me. Because at the time, they told me I was looking at 14 years in federal prison, which I only got 4 years. But at the time, I had nothing left to live for. I had just given up, man. And it was probably 8 years later, I found my brother and, got some help. Did rehab, did a lot of sober living houses, stuff like that, and finally got off the drugs. And it's coming up on 6 years with no drugs, no meth, no coke, no nothing. So, I thank God I didn't do it. I stood on that freeway overpass, guys, and I even climbed over it, and I was going to jump. And cars were coming by, and somebody said, I'm going to call the cops. And I got scared and jumped and ran because I didn't want the cops to come and stop me from killing myself. But of course I didn't really want to kill myself, but I did, and I didn't. And I don't know. I made it through it, guys, and I went and got help and got in. I turned myself in, and they told me if I turn myself in, they'll let me do a drug program, which I did, and that saved me, and that got me through my whole process. You remember what it's like, Pat, being in jail and saying you'll do anything to get out of here? And rehab sounds really good at the time. Is that how you felt?
When I went to jail this last time, I was actually charged with aggravated assault, like I stated earlier, but I was standing stationary on the balcony when they came running up the steps. And then I kneeled down and I drew a line with my finger on the concrete. And it was the same thing that Jesus did to Mary Magdalene. I drew a line right there. And I stood there, and then within 3 seconds, they came up and they crossed, and both of them hit me at the same time. And my wrist almost broke, and they severed the nerve on my wrist so that I can't feel anything on my right hand anymore. But I remember being hit by both sides by them, standing stationary, and my wrist almost broke. And right when I felt that, I felt like what it felt like to be murdered. So I hit so hard, like I was trying to be killed. That's how hard I was hit. And I was standing with my hands at my side stationary, and my hands stayed at my side stationary for the whole, I guess it was about maybe 6 or 7 minutes. The one officer fell back off my right shoulder and said to his partner, I can't. One of the things I was saying once he hit me like that, kind of went down to the ground, and I kept my hands at my side, and they were doing all the fighting and stuff, and my hands are at my side, and they were just wrenching on me. And I said, I repent of all my sins in Jesus Christ's name. I repent of all my sins in Jesus Christ's name. It just came out of me because I thought I was actually going to be killed. And I didn't expect that. I didn't know what was going on. And the one officer, he rolled off the back, and I guess he had a heart attack. So I don't know if that's because I drew this. It's probably because I drew the line with my finger earlier, but he had a heart attack in the middle of that. And he was an older officer. And then he was the old one. And then the one that was like 30, whatever, he kept wrenching on me, tased me, and I went, ow, and he tased me again in my leg. He was down by my legs, and then I turned over on my right and used my left hand to like turn over, and he brought the taser up, and he hit the taser off my elbow, and we both looked, and the taser went flying away. I was like, kind of cool. I stayed on my stomach the whole time. I never reached out to grab an officer's uniform, never threw a punch, never grabbed them, never did anything but hold myself because he was trying to break bones. And instead of just saying, hey, you're under arrest, that's all he had to do. So I was waiting for the sirens to come because I started hearing sirens. And I'm like, just hang on, Pat, keep your breath. I was trying to keep my breath. Just hang on till the cops get here. So that's what I was saying to myself, because when the other cops showed up, and sure enough, and then the one cop that was still wrenching on me the whole time, he started to run out of breath. And I just go I go, calm down, dude, just calm down. And the cop pulled in the parking lot, and up comes a detective up the steps. The detective walks over to both of us. He gently grabs my right arm and lifts me up off the ground to my feet. Doesn't cuff me, takes me gently down the steps, and left the other officer laying there. Didn't help the other officer. He lifted me up. So some officers are smart, some are hasty, whatever history they have that makes them think the way they do. But there was a witness there that saw the charges of aggravated assault. He was downstairs staying in a hotel. One of the girls in this program knows the guy. And when the charges came out a couple of days later in the paper, the guy said, hey, Patrick wasn't even doing anything. Patrick didn't fight back. Patrick didn't do anything. And that's what the witness said. He was like, why is he aggravated assault? So when you asked me what I did, was when I was lifted up and taken down the steps, what I did was keep my mouth shut. I didn't complain. I didn't say I didn't do anything. They took me to the station, booked me in. I kept my mouth shut. And one officer, he says, aggravated assault. I thought he was talking about the guy next to me, so I never even knew. Wouldn't hold himself for about 5 hours. They put me in there. Then it was aggravated assault. So didn't know much what that was. But when I went to court about a week later, or a few days later, I sat in and I said, it's 3 to 15 years. Now, if you're me and you're there in that situation, I was doing meth, but I was doing meth, so I was under the influence. But everything I just described about my stature and my stance and the happenings of when I was taken down and arrested, it was unnecessary, and it wasn't provoked by me. And they even said that they offered to take me to the hospital, but they never did. So like that. But when I was in jail, I just never said anything. And then when I went in my cell, I never said anything. When I went to court, another guy was charged with aggravated assault. He was complaining. I heard him complain, and then they kind of rushed him out. They kind of got him done with his court thing. I never complained. I said, okay. They said 3 to 15 years, and I'm like, I just sat there. Okay, go back to your cell, and then talk to my cellers like that. And then when I saw my attorney day before going to court, I walked in, didn't even tell him the story. I go, can I get a program? And he goes, yeah. And I go, you can get a program for a felony? He goes, yeah, they can't stop you from getting a program. Okay. And that's all you have time to really say. So it was about take the best deal you can and get out. Because one of the things about the officer having a heart attack had nothing to do with me. It's just his health or whatever. And it wasn't because of me fighting or anything like that. It's just the excitement of it. He happens to be a Christian too. The one who he was still in the hospital when I bonded out about a day after court. But so that had nothing to do with it. But in a situation like that, especially with that situation, it's best to take a deal. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So he recovered well. So that officer, he just went to the hospital. He had, he took I think the paper said he took a break for a while. So officers are well loved. You know what I mean? They are who they are. And one of the things, so I took the deal. I got a 4-1 split. So 3 years probation and a 1-year program. So that was good. Did I commit a felony? And that felony that was charged to me? Absolutely not. At the very most, resisting arrest, if you could even call it that, because I was being manhandled. So one thing happened about a month ago going to church. I went up to the altar and I got on my knees by myself, and they just did an altar call. And it took me 3.5 months, but I decided to forgive both the officers, and especially the one, to forgive them both and to let it go and completely forgive them so I could be free of it. And I did that. And once I did that, a weight was lifted from me because.
Oh, sure, man. I mean,
yeah.
They're just doing their job. And my answer to that was, well, nobody should take that job. But who am I?
It can be tough, and they deal with a lot of people who are. Plus, when you're under the influence of meth, you don't look exactly. You look kind of crazy. So, to not judge them for their jobs and stuff like that. And I got a good enough deal where it's all right. And so it's my first felony. So being 54, you can't vote, you can't have guns. I never use guns anyways. But I do have political insight and stuff like that into the country. I was pretty much
felons can vote. In California, as long as
I have to move back to California.
In New Mexico, you can vote, but you got to be off probation.
Right. But I want to hit on a fact though, and you would attest to this too, Sean. If you talk about how many felonies we committed aside from it, if you get busted for meth, any little amount of meth, it's an 8-1 split. So you might get a year program and you get 8 years probation. So it's a felony to break the law in the state of Tennessee or in the state of any state to do meth. And there's a reason why they have that law. Most people that do meth steal. I have enough of income where I don't, but it's not good for society for us to be tweaking the way we do on meth and the things that people do when we're on meth and stuff like that. So
if I got arrested for every time that I bought drugs, I'd have 100 life sentences. You know what I mean?
Yeah, me too. So
I've driven drunk at least 500 times, at least.
Yeah,
and like drunk. Look at your not just 3 times the limit, 4 times. I've driven swerving drunk, hundreds of times, man.
Swerving, and another thing too is
never got caught.
I've been to court before and been given and had charges dismissed before, for different stuff like that, So the thing about I'll say the word felony is what it is, but when I do a YouTube channel, I'll hit on a lot of stuff that a lot of topics that are going to be different. I'm going to do a lot of information stuff that people have never heard before. But one of the things, the word felon is not in the Word of God, the word Bible. So certain words aren't in there. So I don't have to identify myself as a felon. But as far as the statutes of whatever state you live in and stuff like that, we have to abide by all laws. We have to obey all laws. So it's a good idea to not do meth for the remainder of our lives. It's a good idea to not do. It's a good idea not to drink and drive. It's a good idea generally not to break the law. And as much as we like doing meth, because the reason why everybody goes back out and uses drugs, there's one answer to the question: why did you do it? Why did you go out and do drugs again? Why are you still doing drugs? Why are you this age and still doing drugs? There's one answer to it: because I want to get high. That's why. You want to tweak. You want to do the drugs. That's the one reason we go back.
I liked it. Yeah. I'm not hurting anybody but myself, which is bullshit.
Yeah. So it takes a lot of growing up and stuff like that. If you want to be married, whether you're a man or a woman, we're not going to have a healthy relationship after doing meth. Plus, if you're doing meth or coke or heroin or any stuff like that, it's illegal. So you're going to get busted one way or another. Whether you're in a house with friends and people come in and you're going to get arrested.
You are.
And when you do, what happens to your wife and their kids? And that's what my brother does. And when you do, what happens to your husband or your kids if you get arrested? You know, and you will, it's inevitable. And they're really serious about it now, and they're arresting a lot of people. And prison and jail is not the place to be. It might get even worse for people. And that's what Sean does, is he helps people that get in a situation where now we're stuck with an uphill battle, where we've lost a loved one, people that aren't going to prison but are in prison, because you went to camp. And we can go to state. But when you get into state prison now, or you get into federal or whatever, where it's a medium or something like that, it's a whole different world. And the guards aren't going to help you, because the guards have their own structure. The inmates have their own structure. And you're going to have to meet somewhere in the middle where you're going to be comfortable with who you are. One way or another, you got to make a decision what you're going to do. You know,
I was close to going to San Quentin at one time, you know.
Oh,
back in my drug days. So, yeah.
So it's a good program that you do. You work at a great program, and we need this help, because it comes down hard. The consequences are hard. You remember that Beretta, right? Remember Beretta?
Yeah.
What's that saying with Beretta? The song.
With the bird on his shoulder.
Yeah.
I don't know the
time if you can't do the crime. Remember?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. We grew up on that stuff. There it was right there. Yeah.
Hey, what's jail like in Tennessee? Tell people what's it like in the county jails out there in Tennessee?
Well, the county jail I went to,
is it horrible? Is it good? Is it livable?
No, it's really not that good. The county I'm in, they have pretty good food. It's not as much, but it's.
So describe them. You say pretty good food. What does that mean?
You get a half a potato. You'll get you'll get your spaghetti or something. You'll get a tray of spaghetti, and you'll get
So
maybe
does the spaghetti have sauce on it? Is there meat in it? Is it flavorful?
Well, I'll give you an example of a place in Tennessee called Clarksville, Tennessee. If you're in Clarksville, Tennessee, you get very little food, if any. Really small tray. The commissary list is like 10 items for the whole commissary. So you don't get, I don't even think they sell soup in there. And it's pretty much locked down the whole time. Where I was in the hole. So we got an hour out twice a day to walk the pod, or not the pod because I was in the hole, but to walk around. You pretty much sleep and you get 3 meals. So they don't really do much for you. They just bring your meal in and open the door, and you go get your meal and you go back in your cell. So, and the guys are like, they're like any guys that drink and use. They're hustling and doing what they need to do in there.
And they're all innocent, right?
No, you don't hear that too much.
No?
I didn't hear anything about anybody being innocent. Maybe one person.
Okay.
Yeah, and I didn't talk about this when I was in there. I didn't say nothing when I was in there, and when I went to court, I didn't say nothing. I didn't say nothing to my public defender. I didn't even bother arguing with him. All I said was when I went to court and he was going to give me the deal, I said, hey, due process is 10 days, right? Because the guy was still in the hospital. I'm like, well, he's still in the hospital, so he can't be here. So due process is, and he went, oh, no, we're going to wait for him to get out of the hospital. I go, all right, dude, I'll take the deal. I go, all right, I'll take the deal. And then I went in front of the judge. Did anybody coerce you? She was like, no, ma'am. And the judge and my public defender standing right there. So that's the first time I ever did that in front of a judge. It went the other way, but I told him that when I was there, so I respected it. And then he dropped some bonds and stuff like that. 3 charges were dropped. The 3 charges that were dropped were drunk in public, disorderly conduct, which is what I should have been charged with, and possession of possession of a meth pipe. They dropped that. So.
See, now in San Mateo County, Pat, you get caught with a glass pipe. It's like 6 months. Well, it used to be when they used to catch me. 90 days in jail just for paraphernalia, man.
Right. Right. Yeah. Well,
now they just give you a ticket. Now they just give you a ticket in California.
In California, they give you a ticket, and same thing with Seattle. In Tennessee, they give you what's called an 1129. So you do, 11 months and 29 days. So you get like a year. The thing about Tennessee, you say how the jail's like, is they're hitting people with like a decade of probation. Where we usually get that's for the misdemeanor or like that, and they're hitting people with like a decade. People are getting like what they call an 8-1 split. So you do a year in jail, and then they give you eight years probation, so 7 years probation. And
you'll never get off. They're caught in the system. They're going to violate you. They're going to violate you. Oh man,
you can't use drugs and drink anymore.
No, you got to totally change your life. But
yeah,
unless you get help, that's hard to do alone, man.
Right. Tennessee, the state, I don't know a great deal about it, even though I've been here for 4 years, but It's one of the safest states, I think, as far as the way the country's going right now. They're strict on laws, but then again, they have, it's open with prescriptions, and there's a lot of that stuff going along. But the people in Tennessee overall, I mean, the home folk and stuff like that, or they call the family tradition, whatever, they're pretty decent people, and the people that I used with out there that I was doing, they were very decent people that I used with. The people that I went party with for, there's about 5 people that I made good friends with that I was using with. They were pretty good people, and they, honesty, integrity, as far as like that, except for surviving to, stealing and stuff to survive. I didn't have to steal, but they did whatever they had to do. But the thing about Tennessee is it's a Republican state, so we have a good senator, Marsha Blackburn. We have a really good governor.
I like her. I like her.
Yeah, I like her too. So,
yeah, but Tennessee used to have the pill mills. You know what I mean? The pain clinics, and guys would truck them in by the busload and prescribe them the Oxycontins and all that. But they shut all that down now, right?
In some ways, I'm sure they have. I'm not exactly sure. They still have a high statistic rate with that stuff like that. It has a very high statistic rate. That's one of the things we do. They teach us here when we go to class on Monday and Wednesday night. They have these. They use the teleprompter or whatever, or the projector that goes on the wall, and we read down and you see this amazing statistics. They haven't done any new ones yet, but basically over 2018 and 2019. But people overdose from prescriptions. People overdose from meth. And I'll tell you one thing that happened when the 2 years that I was out there is that what they're putting in the methamphetamine now is ecstasy
and fentanyl,
and methadone. Yeah, so that was actually in my blood when I was actually in my blood, because I did a test to go to one transition before I did here, and it said I had all that stuff in there. So you can get a wrong dose and stuff like that. But one point about meth is that for anybody in Tennessee that's doing meth, and as far as the legal system, as far as the 8-1 splits, anybody that's doing meth, over the long run, your life's not going to be good, and it's not good for society. Meth or crack or any little drugs like that. So Tennessee may be strict, but I've heard in other ways Tennessee gives you a chance when you're doing the right thing, then they help you. And after a period of time, you're doing the right thing, then they're pretty lenient. When I went to court in there, and I seen the bailiffs and the in Tennessee, they're called the Fraternal Order of Police. I actually got a letter from them before when I was living in a trailer. You could donate, and I was going to donate little badges like that. So they have a good history. So the Fraternal Order of Police, the bailiffs and the sheriffs and the police, they're a pretty good group of guys across the whole state. They're pretty cool, but they weren't offended with me or nothing like that. They were, like one of them saw I guess the way I carried myself, or whatever, just, give me a nod and stuff like that. And then when I was released on bond, the officer that took me out, who actually was a black guy. He was one of the sheriffs at the thing, and he goes, and they said that he was a Mason, which I really like, because I respect Masons too, because there's a lot of masonry in Tennessee. And he just said to me, he goes, Patrick, he goes, take it easy out there. No more fighting. Even though I didn't fight, he didn't know the situation, because I didn't tell anybody. I didn't tell anybody to also respect the police, because we also need to respect the police. You don't need to go snitching on police either. You know what I mean? Do what you got to do and deal with your lawyer, but snitching either way, it's nobody's business to snitch to make someone else look bad. So I kept my mouth shut. But he said, no more fighting. There was a cop in the hospital. Take it easy. And I knew that. But I knew the whole situation about it. He just had a health problem that popped up at the wrong time for him. Had nothing to do with me. But
hey, let me get a couple more comments here. I didn't. Katrina, hi back, Katrina, and she says, "I sure wish I would have caught from the beginning. I even have notifications on too." Yeah, Katrina, I don't know. I don't get all my notifications either, and I have the bell. I ring the, hit the bell with the all, and I don't always get them from other channels too. I'm not sure what's up with YouTube. TJ says, "Hey, Sean. Hey, TJ, what's going on?" And Katrina, hey, hi. Okay. All righty. Hey, does Tennessee have a big homeless problem like in the big cities like we do in the – Tennessee's a red state. I'm used to live in – well, I guess –
No, they don't have a homeless problem like they do in other states. The homeless people out here are really cool. If you go ask the homeless people for help, or you're talking to homeless people, they'll pretty much do anything they can to help you. So the homeless people out here are pretty cool. I stayed at the Nashville Rescue Mission for 2 weeks, and I stayed there a second time for 2 weeks. And they're pretty cool down there. The majority of the National Rescue Mission, out of the, I want to say 500 people that they house in there, it's pretty much about 420 out of 500 are the black community. So that's down in Nashville.
That's a lot different than San Francisco. It's mainly white people that are homeless. But in Tennessee, it's different, huh?
Yeah, in Tennessee, down there in Nashville, like that, Tennessee, and they're real friendly. They're real cool. I mean, there's no racial tension like that. I mean, they're pretty cool. It's those of us, whatever, black or white, that get all lost in our heads and start, not taking care of the bathrooms and then getting too drunk and stuff like that. But the homeless problem doesn't spread out too far, and Tennessee cleans stuff up pretty good. I guess they have good legislature. You know what I mean? They clean stuff up pretty good. So there's not too much of homeless people. You know what I mean? People are pretty cool in Tennessee. I mean, they have jobs available and hiring and things like that. And that's one of the things they do down at the shelter. They have buses coming in every hour to take people to work so they can make enough money to get, some snacks or cigarettes or whatever, if they want to get a beer or whatever they want to get while they're staying in the shelter.
What's the minimum wage out there?
Oh gosh, minimum wage. I think the minimum wage went up to, I think it went up. Well, I don't know. It could be 8. It could be 7.25 still, but I think it went up to 10. Most people that go to the temp agencies are making $14 to $16 an hour. So pretty much everybody in the house I live is making $14 to $16 an hour.
Okay, that's a lot better than $8 an hour. I don't know how
you can't live off $8 an hour. Yeah, you can't live off $8 an hour.
Pat, Mom made $3.35 an hour when she worked for Patrick and Company down in San Francisco. Do you remember that? And we lived in Daly City. Yeah, and she caught the bus to work. It was an hour-and-a-half bus ride because it stops on all the way from Daly City to San Francisco.
Both ways.
Well, hour and a half there, hour and a half back for $3.35 an hour, man. You know what I mean?
And she had the food. She had the fridge filled all the time.
TV dinners. I don't know. When you came over, there was food. I mean, there was always food, but it wasn't.
You're welcome.
It was Hamburger Helper or stuff like that, but there was food, man. And then I know
she paid for our dental. She paid for our pictures at school. She paid for our graduation, our rings. She paid for us to go to Camp Mendocino. She paid for my football gear.
Yeah, actually, the
baseball gloves.
You're the younger brother, so I'll tell you, she got help from the guardsmen, a group called the Guardsmen that paid for our camp and your uniforms and all that. Those were charity organizations that she signed up with that did all that.
Smart woman. I didn't know that. I never knew.
Yeah. She only made $3.35.
This is my older brother. He holds out on me. He knows all the inside depth information way ahead of everything. And it's like, I'm 54. It takes like the next 10 years, I'll get little pieces here and there. And it's like, Sean, we're old men now. I got to find out the rest of it. Quit holding back. Yeah. My brother, by the way, is really, really smart. He's very, very intelligent.
So smart. I went to prison, so I'm not that smart.
Well, he was the kingpin. He was the guy that had everybody else working for him. He was a master plan. Just ask the FBI. They'll tell you. Yeah. Ask the state attorney general of that, right? California.
No, I don't. I stole the idea from another guy. It's all I did. I stole his blank sheet, his blank tax form, and I go, a monkey could do this, and I just proved him wrong. I proved him right. That's all I did. I was not that.
You asked me earlier about the phone. You asked me earlier about a phone call you made to me when you got the phone call you made when you got indicted, and you made the phone call to me. I was in Idaho, and I was up there. I did have 5 years sober at one point, and then I think I smoked weed and lost my 5 year sobriety. And I moved to Idaho, but I wasn't using drugs. I used once on a weekend. But Sean called me, and he said, "Look in the computer. I just got arrested. Type in." East Bay Trio, and I typed in East Bay Trio, and he goes, and as he's telling me, he goes, I got 19 indictments. I typed it up and I read it real quick, and I'm like, wire fraud, identity theft, 19 indictments. This is my brother that's telling me to look this up, who I love with all my heart. He had called me about 2 months earlier, and I told him to move up here. He didn't mention what he was going to. I go, move up here. I'll get you an apartment. I'll buy for the apartment. I'll buy an apartment for you to move up. And he said, not right now. And I hung up the phone. He doesn't know this. But I cried in my car because I've always loved my brother. And that's the way our family's gone. We're getting our family back, but we were always spread apart. So this phone call came in a couple months later, the one where it says, look up the 19 indictments. And I looked up the 19 indictments. So he never knew how I felt. He goes, how'd you feel when you said F you later on? Because I said, go to Delancey Street. what I looked at when I saw that, I just lost my brother for life. So when I saw 19 indictments, I go, my brother's gone for the rest of his life. So here I am at 45 years old. I had 5 years sobriety. So you actually have all your love back. That's one of the benefits, by the way, when we get off meth and drugs and heroin and crack. After a period of time, 6 months, a year and a half, we get love back. And after 2 years and 3 years, we'll cry because of the people we love. If we interrupt that process by going out and picking up a pipe or going over our buddy's house or girlfriend's house or whatever it is and doing it again, we lose the ability to cry and love. So it was just after I still had the effects of the 5 years of sobriety, and I wasn't using drugs, so I didn't trip off the smoking weed part. I just continued on with my sobriety. In Idaho, I used drugs 3 times in 4-year period. So 3 weekends in a 4-year period is all I did for the next 4 years after my 5-year sobriety. So over the 9 years, I did pretty good. And I got this call from him, and I thought I lost my brother. So my heart was down, and it's like, I understand math and I understand statutes and I understand stuff real, I also have the spirit, the gift of discerning spirits. So you have the spiritual understanding as well.
It took going to those drug rehabs, the residential ones. By the time a person gets to jail, when somebody goes to jail or they go to prison, the damage that we've caused all the way up to that, people don't realize. You don't just live a perfect life and one day you end up in jail. No, you build that up. You cause all this damage and hurt and turmoil and hurt people. And by the time they catch you and you go to prison, you've done so much damage to your family and your friends and people around you. By the time you get there and people wonder why they have no visitors and nobody to call and nobody's writing them letters, you need to look at the life that you've caused. It's not just that one crime. That's the one they finally got you at, but you got to look what you've done to other people around you, and drugs and alcohol and all that stuff. It's all part of the mess that you know what I mean. The thing, like Biden says, the thing, man. You know what I mean. The thing. Yeah.
But wait, there's more. Yeah. So on the phone call, my brother showed me that. He goes, I messed up. And he's like, oh, I didn't do anything. The 19 indictments. And then I go, real quick, Mr. Counselor, I'm like, well, and I gave him actually good advice. Actually, he named the show after the advice I gave him. I go, well, it's federal, so that's like Club Fed, right? He didn't want to hear that. But I go, it's clever. It's like, because I heard some other guys talk about you play pool, you play ping pong, you do all the stuff, which is actually true. And Sean's got all kinds of videos to attest to that. You get to work and all that. But I told him to go to Delancey Street and check in there, because you'll sit on the porch outside there for a couple of weeks, and then you go in there and they'll take you to court. And then
I wasn't going to do a program. No, I was at that time. I'm not hearing it, man.
He goes,
I'm not hearing it.
He didn't want to hear that. He was pissed off.
I didn't want to. Fuck recovery. That's the last thing I wanted. Then today it's the first thing I want.
See, I didn't know that because my brother had recovery before that. My brother started Cocaine Anonymous meetings in Belmont, California, and San Carlos. And when my brother started meetings, everybody liked Sean. And everybody loves the way Sean runs meetings, the way he starts the meetings, the way he gets everything organized. Him and James were good friends.
Yeah, I did that in prison. I started those AA meetings in prison. There was no meetings till I got there. So.
And then Sean went and he became a cook. He went through Project 90, which is a 90-day program. He became the cook in there. Everybody loved him in the kitchen. He's an excellent chef. He's an excellent manager. He knows how to do all of that kind of stuff. And then I think he ended up going and doing 9 months in Project 90 up in like Napa or something like that. So it had been a long time since I seen my brother, because that was basically 2009, Sean. And when we talked on the phone, it was 2013. So those 4 years were when you changed, because I do remember you changed, because you came up to Miwok Village when I had my 4.5 years sober.
Yeah.
You came up there and we met at a casino. You had your girlfriend and we met at a casino, and you were way different. You were like you were acting like a shot caller, or something like that,
Yeah, that was in the midst of my crimes, man. That was in the highlight.
You had made $200,000.
Yeah, well, nothing quite like that. That's what the paper said. Yeah. I probably made $40,000 in 2 years, but I just anyways.
Yeah, so when I talked to him on the phone a year later, I didn't know my brother that well. I guess like he'd said, he had messed everything up with his family, whether you talked to him or not, right, Sean?
Yeah, whether you talk to him or not. I mean, I only got dad's side of my family back, and I know I got you talking to the cousins and stuff. Our mom's side of the family, they don't want nothing to do with me. They might talk to you, Pat, but then they don't want nothing to do with me. When I got indicted and I missed that court date and I got thrown in jail, the public defender called up Joyce, Pat, and he called up Leslie and Paul because I had their numbers. And he said I talked to all of them, and they said they don't know you and they don't want to know you, and to stay out of their lives. That was the message I got.
Yeah, and you didn't spend any time with them, and they didn't have to have that kind of a reaction to you. It was probably like an interpersonal reaction. They didn't have to have that kind of reaction to you. And if they don't want anything to do with you, they hurt my brother really bad. And my brother wasn't over there being invited to stuff, going over there and spending a lot of time with them. He just happened to call and reach out like you do in AA and NA, and everybody lends a helping hand, and churches and everybody else does. So them not wanting to have to do anything to do with my brother, they hurt my brother. They hurt my family member. They hurt my brother really bad.
All I can do is just help my fellow man now. If that family ever wants me back, and I don't even know if I want them in my life, but if there comes a time, there comes a time. But for now, all I can do is help my fellow man, be happy I got who I got back in my life,
and forgive him and forgive him.
Yeah, and forgive them. Yeah, because I have a lot of anger. I do. You guys know I go to AA and NA, and we have this 12-step thing, and there's this making amends step, the 8th and 9th step, and that's the hardest thing to do. Is especially when you're mad at your people, you're mad at the family that's mad at you, and you're mad back at them, and you're angry. And when somebody first gets clean and sober, they're angry at a lot of people, and that's the first stuff they work at. You write that 4-step list. The first thing you do is you list all the people you're angry at, and later on you got to go, make amends to all your damages. But until you get past that anger, you're never going to get clean. I've never met a clean. I've never met a person that's happily off drugs and is still angry. They just don't. It doesn't happen,
Yeah, the anger thing is really. We can't live with anger.
Yeah,
I remember some AA. The text says that the grouch and the brainstorm are not for us, and we must rid ourselves of these resentments. We must, or it kills us.
Resentment is the number one offender.
And what was something that was helpful to me is when I forgive somebody, it's for me, not for them. So when Jesus says that when someone comes to you and asks you to forgive them, how many times should we forgive them? One of the apostles, one of the disciples asked Jesus that, and Jesus says 70 times 7, right? So how many times do people come to you and ask you to forgive them? Not very often, but we forgive for ourselves because God says, if you don't forgive others, then how can my Father in heaven forgive you?
This is true.
Yes.
This is true. Yeah. So let's see. What are we going here? Well, it's been about an hour, Pat. You just want to talk? You got some message out there? I know you wanted to. There's some other things you wanted to tell people out there about what's going on in your life. I know with God and Jesus and all that. Feel free. It's a open channel, man.
Yeah. No, we've been talking pretty much about about you and me and our lives and stuff like that. I don't really want to get too much into more about like scripture and stuff like that, because we're doing a show right now, and that can go off into a whole bunch of other stuff. But sticking on the recovery portion of it and things like that, it's been kind of hard for me. I've been in this program for 4.5 months, and the first 2 to 3 months were pretty hard, and having life stop, you know what I mean? And but I've been blessed, with going to a program and being able to be here, and it's a good place and all that. But it's been kind of hard because I've had to completely stop. Maybe it's because you're older when you're 54. An example of someone that had to stop, he would have been about, what is he now? Sean, you're 57 now. Yeah. So you were about 47 years old, and you had to go through 5 years of pretrial. So that 5 years of pretrial you went through.
The house got raided. A year later, I got indicted. then 4 years of pretrial, then 3 years of prison, now 2 years of probation with the 6 months halfway house in between. I got 10 months left. It'll be about 10 years altogether. 10 years of losing all my liberty, my liberty, my pursuit of happiness, my freedom, all that stuff's been taken away for the last 10 years. So
right. And most people get to a point where we're able to buy a house. At least, even if we move to another state, we can afford one. We'd have our own house. We'd have our stability. We'd have a clear mind. You know, we'd have a nice car. We'd have our bills paid and income to continue on like that. Just the basics.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Just the basics. But it's hard to go to that. And it was hard for me to go to that. One of the things that's a little hard for me is that I have a lot of ambitions of a few things that I want to do. But when I'm in a men's transitional house, a lot of the time's devoted to doing the things we're required to do in the program. And it takes much time. But I need my own place and my own space, you know what I mean, where you're not surrounded by a lot of people all the time. So I'm just waiting for the remaining 7 months of my programs. I graduate in 2 months, and then I finish the program. But I'm going to still stay in this house for another 5 months, I think it is. But I'm doing a lot of stuff. I can talk about that stuff too. But I want to do. There's some ambitions I got to do. I'm actually going to do a YouTube channel. I'm writing a lot. I have a lot of books that I read, and I have a lot of input to give on as far as politics and as far as world affairs and things like that. I haven't mentioned any of them on this program, but I'm going to be learning how. My brother will teach me how to do that. But since I've been in the program, the first month I paid off $2,000 worth of fines that I hadn't paid for like 2 years. I was driving on a suspended license, so I paid off the fines to the courts. I paid the reinstatement fee. Drove a couple hours to get that done. I had a DUI in another state. I had to take a DUI course for 12 hours. I had to do a drug and alcohol screening. I had to pay them some money to get that fine. I had to send SR-22s to another state in Washington. I had to, and then I had to get the interlock device in my car and get all that stuff just to get my license back. I went so far out by doing
that. A lot of legal stuff to clean up on.
A lot of legal stuff to clean up. And then right now today, and so I've been here for about 4 months, 4.5. I've got $3,600 saved. I'm able to save almost $2,000 a month from here going forward. So by the time I graduate, I'll have close to 20 grand. All my taxes are filed. All my bills are paid. I have my car paid off in 5 months, which is $400 a month. A loan I took out to build my credit, which that's done in 6 months. That's another $200. And then another $300 thing I was paying off over the last 3 years is going to be gone. So I'll have all my full income, monthly income back. I'll have about a year sober, and I'll have, and then I get all my stimuluses back. I'm going to file my taxes. I didn't bother filing them, even though I have the right amount taken out of my income tax. I have $530 taken out every month, but I'll have all that stuff. And they have a lot of good stuff in this program that helps you do that. The lady that runs the program, she manages your money and helps you save your money, so you keep putting money in it. We eat lunch here and bring our lunch if we go to work, and so we save a lot of money. She supports us in paying all of our fines. Sean's going to call her, and she's going to. She said she's
Lori. I think I get her on the show.
The name of this program is Phases of Freedom in Tennessee. There's about 40 people here, so she's a really caring lady, and she helps people come out of jail and then get their lives together. So instead of doing a year in jail, you can do a year in a program, and you have a lot of freedom. So I have a lot of freedom. I'm blessed here, but pretty much everything in my life will be cleared up and ready to go, and I'll have a good nest egg. So because when I lost a lot of stuff out there on meth, including all my furniture and TVs and everything like that. So it's like my brother just got an apartment I think it's about 3 months ago. So he's got an apartment for 3 months. So he's finally got his liberties back. He's got, before you know it, he'll have a karaoke. He'll move into another apartment in about 3 months or a house or something. I would pray for a house, but
but everything I've ever owned is gone, Pat. All those electric guitars, and music equipment, and cars, and even pictures and nothing. I have nothing to show. Everything I've gotten since I got out of prison. I have nothing left from my past life.
Right.
And you know what I mean? And it kind of hurts. A lot of it's material things, and people say, oh, but those could be replaced. Yeah, I know they could be replaced, but I'd sure like to have them now.
They meant a lot to you.
Lost them. I sure
because
wish
they were your
things.
Them. They were your things.
It costs money to replace things, but I did it to myself. I did it to myself.
Yep. And so did I. Yep. But another thing I've done here is because they have a bookstore. It's not a bookstore. It's a thrift store. So I go down there, work down there, volunteer for about 3 days a week at the thrift store, and people are always bringing in donations, and you go, do all that stuff. But I've collected over 100 books. I like textbooks and encyclopedias and Christian books and Bibles and theology books and things like that, history of the world and stuff like that. And I've got stacks and stacks and stacks. So I'm getting prepared I've got a library. So yeah, it's kind of, I've got paintings and stuff. I've collected paintings and stuff like that. And then they help you get a place when you graduate. So it's a good program, and they help you save enough money to get a place. And then first and last, you get a place, and they inspire everybody to save enough to get a car. So you have a car, license, registration, insurance, a job, and a place.
Oh, that's great. That's great. Yeah, that's what we all. That's
stuff
what
Sean's doing.
Need.
Yeah, stuff you're kind of doing. Get people out and. Yep.
Sounds like a great program, and they're not programs like that are never easy, and you got to earn them, and you got to work hard for them. And I know you're learning that as you go along.
Yeah.
And there's days are tough, and there's days I'm sure there's some days you don't even want to be there because of the personalities involved and the drama of living with all those people. It's going to happen, and it's really not it's not easy to do, especially when you're coming from the way you've been living the last couple of years. Just doing whatever the hell you want, and now you can't do that.
Right?
Yeah, it's not easy, man.
Yep.
And and that's what prison teaches you too. All of a sudden, you're with 500 guys, and they've already got rules and codes of living and all this that you don't agree with, but and if you try to resist in prison, you're going to get beat up or stabbed or killed.
Right.
So. It's a whole nother thing there.
Right.
Yeah. Well, it's been an hour and a minute. I'm good to go. How about you?
I'm good too. Yeah.
All right, Pat. I love you, Pat. Thanks for being back in my life. You'll always be my little brother. Whatever I can do to help you. And any last words for people out there? Yeah, just we're all valuable as human beings, and I care about all you guys. And we got to stick together and do the best we can. And let's say just shout out for Sean for giving us this opportunity to listen and learn and share. And then hopefully he'll get some more interviews with some of the rest of us out there. And let's keep going forward with our lives and never give up. All right. I'm going to hit the end and subscribe if you haven't.